Welcome, everybody, to our conversation today with the Fun and Key West Book Club. And it looks like right now we have about 6 people on. And so I encourage everybody to say hi. Let me know where you're from, who you are, so we can say hello. And I am so excited today that we have Lucy Burdette joining us. And for those of you who don't know Lucy, well, you need to get to your local bookstore really quick because anything and everything about Key West is around food, and we talk about that. But more than anything, it's about the Key West Food Critic Mysteries, and that was one of the books we read earlier this year. But what I was looking at as I was doing some research, and I'm not sure a whole lot of people know this, but Lucy Burdette is a pen name for an alter ego of yours.
That's right. I had written 2 other series, the Golf Lovers, the Golf Lovers Mysteries and Advice Column Mysteries under my own name, which is Roberta Islib. And the books didn't take off the way a publisher always hopes. So when a new publisher was offering me this contract, they said, "Would you change your name?" And I said, "Sure." And I thought of Lucy Burdette because that was my grandmother's name.
Oh.
And she died when I was only 7. So this is a way of carrying her forward. Plus, it's an easier name than Roberta Islib.
Well, it depends.
Yeah.
So you're drawing a lot of inspiration then from your grandmother. Is that where you got your ideas for the food? Or before we get into the Mango Murders, which is the new edition, give me a little bit of background. Key West, food, what was the connection? How did you start on that?
So my husband was retiring from his big job, and he was going to start a website for baby boomers about where they should retire. So we were traveling around Florida, and I said, "Have you been to Key West?" He said, "No." And I said, "Well, we won't want to retire there, but we should go, and so you could see it." And we were there 6 days. So this was in 2008, I think, or 2007. And we were there 6 days, and he loved it, which surprised me because it's a quirky place.
Yes.
And I remembered it being kind of crazy, and I loved it too. So the next winter we came for a month, and then we came for 2 months, and now we're residents. We lived half the time there and half the time in Connecticut. And while all that was going on, this publisher was looking for somebody to write a mystery series featuring a food critic who lived in a tropical setting. And I said, "That is so me," because here we are in Key West. It's a wonderful background, and food. I just love to eat and talk about food and think about food and write about food. So and Key West is very foodie town.
Oh, yes.
So it turned out to be a perfect fit. Now, I was telling Michelle, I just turned in number 16 this afternoon.
So we'll tease a little bit about that. So we're on, Mango Murders is number
15.
15. Yeah. How do you keep it so fresh and the story so interesting that you actually came up with number 16?
Yeah, because it's hard. It's hard to, and especially if you have somebody who's coming in later in the series, how do you summarize a little bit of the characters and what people need to know without boring the people who have read all along? So I was a psychologist before I started writing, and so I think that helps a lot, because the part that I love about writing series and reading them too is watching the characters develop. Right. So as long as the characters are growing and changing, then I'm happy, and then I think the readers are too. And then I look for some. I still have another one to write, but I'm not going to think about it today. But it really helps to find something that really sparks my interest. So the one that's coming out next summer, I'll just tell you where it came from. I saw an announcement from the Monroe County Sheriff's Department that they were setting up a place for safe custody exchange.
Okay.
And I thought, oh, well, that's interesting. They of course want nothing to happen, whereas I was imagining all the things that could go wrong, and that's how the book takes off. And Haley, of course, gets pulled into it as she does.
She does. She gets pulled into everything. And you mentioned that Key West is nutty, quirky. It's all those things. And I think that's what draws us to Key West.
Yes.
But you have picked up some characters in your books that are actually real people.
Yes.
You have Annalise from the food tours.
Right.
David Sloan, Catman.
Yes.
But I had a question about Lorenzo.
Yeah.
He's based off of the tarot card reader at Mallory Square,
Right.
which I have visited on multiple occasions.
Uh-huh.
Have you had your cards read, and what made you so? You have a lot of details about those tarot cards in your books.
Yes. Well, so when I wrote the first book, An Appetite for Murder, I had seen him on Mallory Square, and back in those days, so that book came out in 2012. I don't know if you would remember, but he used to wear a turban, and he had makeup on, and he was all dolled up. And as I found out later, he said that was too distracting because everyone would want to come by and take a picture of him, and he takes his readings very seriously. So I didn't know him for that book. I just put him in there as a character. But then a friend who lived in Key West at the time said, I know him. Would you like to have lunch with him? And I said, of course I would. So we had lunch, and even though we are really nothing alike, we hit it off. And so I have lunch with him every time I'm down there and just listen to him. And he always reads my cards when we do that. So I think he's a very wise and spiritual man. Very interesting guy. But his real name is Ron, but he goes by Lorenzo in the book.
Yeah. Well, he's always Lorenzo to me, because whenever you see him, that's immediately what you think.
Yeah.
And so and what I like about your books in the series is, and everybody talked about this in the book club, we can close our eyes and imagine where your characters are, be it the Truman, White House, be it down at Mallory Square, even where the made-up Key Zest magazine, office is.
You know where it is. Yeah.
You know where it's at.
Yeah.
Do you spend a lot of time going through the streets just to make sure it's authentic, or do you go close enough?
Well, since we're there 6 months of the year, I know the town pretty well.
Right.
In the first book, there were some mistakes, like the streets that go one way. I had some of those mixed up. But so I got some complaints about that. But mostly, yeah, if I'm writing something, and I pick things that I'm interested in. So I'd love to go to the Hemingway house and visit those cats. I love the tour. Everybody tells it a little differently. So that'll show up often. I love the little White House. That tour we have the most interesting history in Key West. And the book A Dish to Die For that had the Women's Club in it, I didn't even know. Have you been to the Women's Club?
Yes.
So I didn't even know it was there. And a friend came to visit, and she said, I'm just going to go out and look around. And she came back and said, you've got to see this place, and it's gorgeous. So then I've gotten, of course, very involved with it because I helped them edit their new cookbook last summer. That's what and so that's part of the mystery. But so I'm like a magpie. Whatever shiny bit I see, it gets worked in. And I did the Citizens Police Academy and the Sheriff's Police Academy. And so then I take all kinds of stuff from that too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love, the women's club because in Christmas, they have it all
Oh, it's
decorated for
gorgeous.
Christmas. It's
Yeah.
gorgeous. I tell everybody, go check it out. And I encourage everybody, we do Historic Marker Monday. And so every Monday we talk about a historic marker. And it's like, as we were going through and doing your first book, it was like, oh, there's that historic. I know where that historic marker is. Oh, I know where that historic marker is. And so that's really cool. I want to do a shout out. Kat is from Port Orange, St. Augustine, and she lived on Petronia in Key West during 2011. So she's
Oh,
joining. Yes, she's joining us. But I have to say, the Mango Murders, you have it start off with a bang.
yes.
And there's a little bit of a history story behind why you had it start that way. Why
Right.
does it start that way?
So exactly the question you asked, how do you keep this series fresh when there's so many of the books?
Mm-hmm.
And we were taking a I don't think it was a sunset cruise, it was a daytime cruise on this really beautiful catamaran and going out past Mallory Square. And I'm always thinking, oh, what could go wrong here? And so I thought, well, what if Haley, who's the food critic, and her mother, who's now living on the island and is a caterer, and they're both trying to build up their print and their reputation. What if they're sponsoring a party and they've invited all the movers and shakers in Key West to take this boat ride? And then what if the boat blows up? So all that happens in the first chapter. The funny thing is, I have a guy who's now helping me with social media a little bit because it's just too much to write and do all that stuff. So he said to me, "Ooh, we should ask the people who really have that boat whether they want to do a mystery cruise." So we are doing it in November. It's all filled up.
I saw that. I was going to promote it, but it was like, oh no, it's all sold out.
So anyway, just grabbing bits and pieces everywhere. That's how I do it. And then of course having to write it.
Exactly. So, what I like about, and I think you do it well in all of the series, is you show the different aspects of Key West, the wealthy, the homeless, the locals, the tourists. It's not without, I mean, you have no judgment on any of those, people or wherever they're at in life or however they ended up in Key West. How do you keep that fresh without being, because I read a couple of your interviews and you do not go political and you keep it very upper level and you just have what your characters would believe
They
or
see.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
how do you keep it?
I really try not to put my opinions in, but put their opinions in. And I appreciate you saying you think I do that. But it's there's so much tension in that little island because everybody loves it. The homeless people are there because they don't have homes and it's gorgeous and they're places to get food and there are places they can sleep. So why would you not want to be homeless there rather than in a cold city somewhere? And then, well, there's a lot of really rich people buying things up. And then there are the people, the conks who have lived there forever, who feel like the tourists and the newcomers don't really understand the island. So it's just perfect for a mystery because there's conflict at so many levels.
Yes. And I love how your characters interact with each and every one of those people in their own way that's very reflective of their character.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. So what's interesting is all of your characters are very unique. Tell me the story of the inspiration for Miss Gloria, because she is one of those characters that people just keep coming back to and loving.
Yes. I've had people tell me, you kill off Miss Gloria, I am not reading anymore. And I said, do not worry,
Oh,
I'm not killing off Miss Gloria. But she was living on Houseboat Row in that first book, An
mhm.
Appetite for Murder, and I just put her in there as a stand-in because I needed somebody to get clunked on the head and left for dead. That's as much as I had thought about her, honestly.
Oh,
And then she came to life. You know, Haley went to see her in the hospital and she had all these funny things to say. And then they got to be friends. And now there was a whole discussion on this blog that I uh, write on often, Jungle Red Writers, about characters and how some people said, oh, Miss Gloria, I don't like the books where she's so strong because I know she's going to do outrageous things. And
hmm.
other people say, oh no, Haley wouldn't be who she is if it
Mhm.
wasn't for Miss Gloria sort of mentoring her. The thing that I love about all of it is that people feel like they're real. And
Mhm.
so then I've done my job because I feel like they're real too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love how you describe Miss Gloria's sweatshirts
Yes.
because they're all those ones that you want to wear, but probably
You
would
do never
never
wear.
wear.
No.
But they always sound so
Yeah, and
cool.
she's modeled after two people. One, I had a stepmother that we all adored who was tiny. I'm small, but she was even smaller and very lively and spunky. And then a neighbor both of them unfortunately have since died, who also was small but full of beans. So that the two of them together um, inspire Miss Gloria.
So she's going to continue on, and like you said, she's not going anywhere.
No, no.
What about Janet? Who was the inspiration for Janet?
Oh, Janet Snow is her mother.
Uh-huh.
So the interesting thing to me about it is she came around in the second book, and people have said, "Oh, she was so annoying. She so couldn't find herself. She's sort of glomming onto her daughter, but she finds her footing, and now they have a really strong mother daughter relationship." Now, my mother died when I was pretty young, when I was in my late teens. So I didn't get to have that experience where you're growing out of being the kid and becoming friends, and then even later
Mhm.
taking care of the parent. So I love watching the two of them, watching that change and grow. That's one of my favorite parts to write.
Oh, so are you writing it from the perspective of what you think it would be like or what you've
Of
seen others have?
what a good relationship with a mother daughter would be that doesn't have it's not without its stumbles,
Yeah.
but they are able to work through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of love and connection there.
So Haley, she takes off, moves down to Key West, probably, and the way I have it in my head, sight unseen, madly in love with Chad,
Oh,
decides that this is going to be her life. It gets tossed upside down very quickly. Um, is there, how did that character, how did you get her to have the courage? Because we meet her, she's not that courageous
no.
on the surface, but she was very courageous to just pack up and follow Chad.
Yeah. Well, she was dumb too. My gosh,
Oh yeah.
she didn't
Well, I
know
was
the guy at all. But I mean, that's how I was when I was that age too. Not a lick of sense. So that I brought from myself. But yeah, I just was trying to imagine. And one of my friends from graduate school came to Key West in the late 70s to do an internship and never left.
oh,
So I think a little bit is, connected with her. Her name was Connie, like
oh,
Haley's friend down the boat dock. So yeah, some people are very annoyed by Haley in that first book, and I say, just give her a little time. She's immature, but she gets there. She really blossoms, I feel like, by the point we are in the series.
yeah. So you've been known to reference the fact that what you do in your sort of day job allows you the ability to do some deep therapy sessions with her through the series. So you start to peel back the layers, and she has
Yes.
really grown a
Yes.
lot. What's next for her? Where do you see her going?
Well, I just don't even know how to talk about it without spoiling it. So,
Okay, I won't.
um,
I won't.
she's growing, she's changing, she's married.
Mhm.
People will not be surprised to hear
No,
about that.
no.
And he's a guy, did a little pop quiz when this book came out for my Instagram
Mhm.
people. And one of the questions was, when did she meet the man that she's now married? And
Mhm.
the answer is, he's in the first book,
Mhm.
but he comes to her boat to almost arrest her. And they've had a very rocky relationship. And finally, she's able to see what's underneath the rough
Oh,
edges.
yeah, yeah, but he's got a history of his own,
He
and
does. He
yes,
does.
and he's got to
But
overcome
it would
that.
be boring if we didn't have
Mhm.
histories.
Yeah, we would be. So as we're chatting along, as I'm chatting along with Lucy, if you all have any questions that you want to ask, put those in the chat. Feel free. But until those come in, so you talked about your love of food. Do you love to cook, or do you love to go out and eat more?
I love to eat. I don't, we go out, especially in Key West, we go out probably 2 or 3 times a week. Not so often up here, but uh, I like to cook, but I like making things that are delicious so that I get to eat them. Is basically it. I have a friend who just loves the process of cooking.
Oh.
And that's not so much me, although I would say that Haley and her mother both love to cook.
They solve a lot of problems with food,
Yes,
and I think we all try to.
yes.
So Rita's asking, how do you pick the restaurants to review?
So if I like a restaurant, it goes in the book.
Mm.
If I don't like it, it does not, because I'm not going to write a bad review about somebody's real business. I would never poison someone in a real restaurant. So those are my rules of thumb. If I like it myself, then you're reading about it because it's something we really enjoyed. And I haven't had any complaints so far about real people or places. Some people really get a kick out of it.
Favorite place that you haven't, is there a restaurant you haven't put in yet that it's like, oh, it's going in? Or do you like to
Let me
replicate
think.
things?
If there's any place that hasn't, things change over
I
pretty
know.
quickly.
That's good.
So there's always something new to try. The One of my favorite standbys is Seven Fish, because
Oh.
that's the first restaurant that Haley reviewed,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so consistent. You always know exactly what you're getting. And they're funny. They say, well, these are the specials. Well, those have been the specials for the last 12 years, which
Right.
is fine with us because they're wonderful.
Right.
But
Now, Seven Fish was where Little Pearl is now,
yes.
right?
Hmm.
Yep. And then they
And now
moved
it's
into the
over on
bigger.
Truman. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, they moved into their bigger location.
Yeah.
Yep. So Seven Fish. So Rita just asked that Seven Fish at the new location or the old location. I think you enter. Which one did you put in the book?
It was in the book it was the old location,
Yeah.
because you see her in a scene walking by the cemetery, which was near the old
Yeah.
restaurant. And it was a lot different. It was small and quirky, although you couldn't hear a darn thing in there.
You still can't.
Nothing. No, no.
You still can't.
Yeah,
But that's what makes it cool.
yeah,
And Rita's saying that was a lot more intimate location. I would
yeah,
agree. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But the demand was just outstanding enough for them to find a new location.
yes. And then along came the pandemic, and thank goodness
Mhm.
they survived it, because oh boy, that was a tough, well, it was tough time everywhere, but we were down there when they closed the keys. They actually literally closed them
They
off, and
did.
you could not come down, no
Nope.
visitors unless you were there already. And the whole town was shut down, and we
Yep.
would ride our bikes around, and it was a ghost town,
Yep.
no restaurants. It was a strange time.
Yeah, we were one of the first people coming back down after they reopened. And so we were doing a lot of, hey guys, come on down. It's open. You can come here and eat. If you're afraid to go inside,
Outdoors, yeah.
here's the outdoor patio you can sit at. You know, we were at La Ti Da, we were at Caroline's, we were at all these places, and it was very odd time. Very
Yes,
odd for
it was.
sure.
Yeah.
Is there a go-to place in Key West that is like, as soon as you come home, this is the first place we're going, don't care, bags go down, this is where we're going?
I already have this in my mind. It's Clemente's on Fleming, right
Okay.
across from the Key West Island bookstore,
Mm-hmm.
which is an adorable little bookstore where they have all my books and a lot of local authors. But we go there first, get a pepperoni pizza
Ooh.
and a beer, sit out at the table. That's probably where we'll go this year too.
First place, I get it.
Yeah.
And Key West Island Bookstore, they're amazing over there. Very a great supporter of our book club. So you guys can give them a call and let them know you're with the book club, and they will give you, if they have it in stock, they said that they would ship it to you at a discount or probably for free to ship it for shipping. But of course, you're going to pay for the book.
Yeah.
Rita says that they go to Pepe's and sit at the bar for lunch. That's their
Well, that
spot.
sounds good too.
Yeah, I love their homemade bread. There's always something there that changes. Is there something that you always do in Key? Is there what? I'm going to back that up. Is there something in Key West you haven't done that you would love to do?
We have not gone to the Dry Tortugas.
Oh,
We had a date. I get deathly seasick, so I'm not that thrilled about taking that 2-hour boat ride on the rough water. So
mm-hmm.
I talked my husband into buying tickets on that little plane,
Mm-hmm.
and they had forgotten that it was the first day of the Blue Angels. So
Oh,
they couldn't fly. So
mm-hmm.
we got canceled. But this year, I'm sure we're going to do that. Everyone, my sister and her husband went over there and camped for a couple days and
Oh,
said it was amazing. So I'm sure there is a story there.
I'm sure there is a story. Love the Dry Tortugas. We've been over there one time. We did take the ferry. I got a little scared. I didn't get seasick, thankfully, but before we were boarding, they all came out and said, you know, sea levels might be a little high. So if you're prone to seasickness, and I got a little nervous, but we were okay. I don't swim very well, so I don't go in the water, but just being able to walk around and take the tour, I was in love. So I
Yes.
highly recommend it. But that's my next thing, is to take that seaplane. And Rita's saying to take that seaplane as well. So as we start to go through a lot of wrapping up and letting everybody have the idea of, you know, if there's any other questions that they have, is there, as you were putting the recipes together, are these family recipes in the books? Are they recipes you enjoy making? Or are they recipes that you find? What's your
Yeah.
inspiration?
So some of them are family recipes. Some of them I don't know I'll be making until Haley makes them. And then I say, oh, now I've got to make that. And like in this book, now I can't remember if it's in the one that I just finished and turned in. She goes to the Red Shoe Island
Oh,
Bistro. Have you been
ooh,
there?
not yet. It's on my list.
Changed names,
Mm-hmm.
but they have this dish that is shrimp in a red sauce
Mm-hmm.
that's really delicious, and I'm dying to get a hold of their recipe. Some things I can copy,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure I could copy that and do it justice. So a lot of it is just what inspiration around the island, and some of it is old standbys. And yeah, I guess I like to cook better than I told you I did.
I was going to say, you sound like you cook more than you
Yes,
say you do. So are you a savory cook, or do you like to bake?
both really. Yeah,
Ooh,
I love to. We love dessert, but if I had to choose, it would be savory.
okay.
Biscuits, cheese, anything with cheese. I'm a
Ooh.
cheese nut.
Yeah, I noticed that a
Yeah,
lot of your dishes have cheese, or your hors d'oeuvres have cheese. I am a cheese lover as well.
yeah,
Iris is saying that she loves the Tortugas too, and she finally got there last year. It's one of those places that it books up really quick.
yeah.
Um, Kathy says, "Oh my gosh, she got here late. When is the next book coming out?" She's read the whole series, and it's coming out
It's coming out next July,
next July.
and it might be called A Dash of Deception.
Ooh,
I don't know if I am in love with that title, but that's what's there so far. Unless anybody has an idea, it's hard to come up with something that's got something tropical, food, and mystery. It's not that easy.
no, it's not. It's not. Um, so as you're going through and pulling all these together, is there a favorite book in the series you like, or you love them all equally?
I do love them all. I especially loved Murder with Ganache
Hmm.
when her I keep calling him her stepbrother, but he's not. He's her half brother.
Right.
Comes down and gets sucked into the spring break crowd.
Hmm.
I really like that book, and there's some discussion of homeless
Hmm.
traveling teens, and there is a place there that takes in teens like that and gives them a space. So I went and talked with that woman, and so
Okay.
I there's a lot of heart in that book. um, no, other than that, each one is special.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to say, I appreciate each one for its story, the characters, the evolution of where they are. I just love that. How long does it take you to write a book?
It takes probably 9 months to
Okay.
to write the draft, and then the one that I sent in today, I will get that back in 3 or 4 weeks with comments
Wow.
from an editor. And my husband said, "Well, how do you feel about this one?" I said, "I'm happy with this one." He said, "So you don't think there are going to be a lot of problems?" And I said, "No, for once, I feel like I have a writers group with two other
Hmm.
writers that I've known for 25 years. So they read everything and I read theirs. And I feel like we really struggled through the problems that might otherwise have gone to the editor, and
Yeah.
then you have a lot of work to do. So
Yeah.
she'll send it back. I'll have a couple weeks to tweak whatever she flags,
Hmm.
and then it gets edited again by a copy editor that hopefully will catch mistakes, although not everything.
No.
And so the whole thing, I'm sending it in today and it's coming out in July. So that's how long it takes.
Wow. So I was at a conference over the weekend, and there were a couple of authors there. And they said, I run things sometimes through chat, and chat's very complimentary on my writing. And then I send it to the editor, and the editor is just mean. So your editor seems to fall somewhere in the middle because you've done a
Yeah.
lot of the other work ahead of time.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather she find things
Hmm.
than you guys read it and say, "Oh, this is terrible." No, I don't want that. I want it. I want to send it out into the world the best that it can be.
Yep. Yep. I'll give you guys a few more minutes here before we finish wrapping up to see if there's any other questions out there. So, as we're wrapping up, um, you mentioned that you're savory, anything with cheese you love to make. What's the least favorite thing that you have to make that you make? So, like sometimes, I, for example, I love to have family in, and we do family dinners. But I've gone against tradition and have said, you know what, I'm not doing the turkey and the dressing and all that for Thanksgiving. We're doing lasagna because I just don't want to do the turkey. It's just too much work. Although you could argue lasagna is a lot of work as well.
Lasagna is a lot of work
But
too.
it's a different kind of work.
Yeah.
It's I can make it ahead of time and then pop it in the oven and then still be part of the conversation. Whereas turkey to me seems like I'm out in the kitchen. Is there anything like that you kind of go, I'd rather make this instead of that?
Yeah, we don't eat. My husband would rather eat more meat. I'm trying to move us toward more vegetables.
Yeah.
So I won't cook a big roast the way my mother cooked when we were growing up.
Yeah.
I dislike lamb.
Yeah.
So I won't cook lamb. And I don't cook fish at home except for shrimp because I can't do it the way the restaurants do. So if you want fish, we'll take you out.
There you go. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things. I know what I'm really good at cooking, and I know what I'm not so great at. And you know what? I just don't want that chicken to die in vain. I just would rather have somebody else who can do it well, do it well. But is there anything else that you think we should know about you? What's the one thing that a lot of people don't know that you think we should know?
Well, let's see. Well, you should know my website. That's not a secret, LucyBurdette.com.
Yep, I'm going to put that in the show notes so they'll have it.
On Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and all that. My most interesting fun fact, and this maybe came through in the 11th book, which was A Scone of Contention, where they go to Scotland for their honeymoon. And some people didn't like it because we left Key West, but I liked writing it. And my editor and the publisher said, yeah, you're far enough along in the series that people will go along with you. Yep. But when I was in high school in New Jersey, we were the Highlanders. We had the only all-girl bagpipe band in the whole country, and everybody wore kilts, and I was a Highlander dancer. So that's my most interesting fun fact. And my connection to Scotland.
I like that. And you've been to Scotland, and that's what prompted you to write that as the honeymoon, right?
Right.
Yep. Yeah. So Lucy, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you spending the evening with us. I am so glad that we were able to get a sneak peek that you have turned in number 16. And I think most of us will be marking our calendars for July to be looking for that. But for everybody else who's here and those of you who could not attend live, we will be linking everything in the show notes and when we put the videos out. So be sure to watch for all that. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. And I love talking with someone who knows and loves Key West, because that's what we're all about, right?
We are. That's the company, Fun in Key West. And so we spend a lot of time there. And that's what prompted us to say, hey, you know what? We need a book club, because there are people who just love Key West. And when they're not there, they're thinking about it. Yep. Yeah. So we've done a lot. So I made it very broad. Books that are about Key West, set in Key West, have some sort of Key West connection. And so we've gone down and explored quite a few this year. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. And thanks to everybody.
Thank you.